Zoom. All right, well, welcome everyone. My name is Christy Buffington. We'll do introductions soon, but I'm with the University of Alaska Fairbanks. I'm a science education specialist, and we welcome you to this Climate and Energy Connections in My Community. And I'm joining as part of the Arctic and Earth STEM Integrating Globe and NASA project. You can see we have many project partners. And on this website, we also have the link that we can share in the chat to our Arctic and Earth Science website. And we also are co-hosting this with Renewable Energy Alaska Project.
Yes, and good morning. My name is Colleen Fisk, and I work for Renewable Energy Alaska Project, which is I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a bit. We're a nonprofit organization, and I am the education director. I also have Tyler Katzmar here from REAP as well.
Good morning, y'all. I'm Tyler Katzmar. I'm one of REAP's STEM educators, and I think we'll be doing more formal introductions soon. Sorry, Christy.
No worries. All right, so we have a big idea that wraps around everything that we do in this Arctic and Earth STEM Integrating Globe and NASA project. Now that's a mouthful, so from here on out, I'll just call it Arctic and Earth Science. And the big idea is that we can make a difference. What a good way to start the school year, thinking during COVID that we can really truly make a difference. And we can make a difference on climate change issues. How? By listening to each other, listening to people who have knowledge about these issues, by inquiring, asking questions about how it's affecting us and our communities, then making observations on those things that we have a hunch about, and then acting on those issues. So we have some enduring understandings that we hope that we impart in this course. Climate change does influence our lives, and they influence our lives and our systems at many different scales. So we need to have different points of entry to understand what those scales are, and we need information from lots of people, from very local, from an individual berry, and then to different plants, to snow and how the snow affects those plants. And that's what you see in this picture here. You see Terry Minot, who is one of our participants, and she's joining us while camping and with Wi-Fi and her cell phone. And these are her students in Venati, Alaska. You can see that everyone can do science, and then we can use local and also traditional knowledge to adapt to climate change.
And a little bit about REAP. So as I mentioned, we're a nonprofit organization. Our mission there, as you can see, is looking at renewable energy and energy efficiency. And we do this through collaboration, education, training, and advocacy. And all of those are, of course, related to each other. So I'm the education director, and I deliver clean energy education. That's what we call renewable energy and energy efficiency combined as clean energy. And I do K through 12 work. I work sometimes with university students. We do, of course, these teacher trainings. I'm doing that all virtually now. And so I've been around for 15 years, I guess 16 years now this summer, 16 years. And I've been with REAP for 4 years and really been enjoying it. And we do this work, so much of our work, there's only 6 of us that work at REAP, 6 full-time. So we're a pretty small organization, but we do statewide work. So even when we could travel, we traveled statewide. We have someone in Southeast, but the rest of us are based out of Anchorage, although I live in Palmer myself. And you'll be able to hear about some of the education work that we do throughout this course, so I won't get into it too much right now. We have a couple different programs that we work with, mostly through education. As I mentioned, we have Tyler Katzmar, who is another STEM educator with REAP.
So Tyler, now you get your chance. go ahead and introduce yourself. And while we introduce ourselves, we're going to be modeling a way to introduce yourself from the place that you are from, honoring and recognizing the traditional holders, the original land stewards, and the present and future land stewards of where you live. We have this link, and I believe Deshana York will be putting this link in the chat for everyone to use this so that you can introduce yourself in Canvas. And we'll also have a breakout room later this morning, or if you're from the lower 48 in the afternoon, and you'll be using some of these traditional land acknowledgements in your own introductions. So take it away, Tyler.
Thanks, Christy. I'm REAP's newest STEM educator, so I've been with the organization for just over 3 or 4 months now. I got hired on the day that the country shut down, and I've been happy to help REAP kind of adapt to this virtual landscape. It's all very new and exciting to me, as it is with everyone else. And I currently live in Anchorage right now, the traditional home of the Dena'ina.
I'm Colleen Fisk, as I mentioned earlier. I grew up in the Matanuska-Susitna Valley. I lived in Anchorage for many years, which are on the Dena'ina lands. And I live in Palmer currently now, which is also where I graduated from high school. And these are also on the Dena'ina lands, although they shared them partially with the Ahtna. And I'm closest to the native village of Chickaloon, and I use she, her pronouns.
Deshana, are you on? I saw that you got kicked into the waiting room.
I am. Hi. Hi, Deshana York here. And I fell off right in the middle of some of the introductions. So I work for Cooperative Extension Service, University of Alaska Fairbanks Department, as well as some of the others on here today. And I am in Anchorage. So I'll go ahead and
Christy, if you unshare your screen, then people will be able to see our faces when we're talking.
There we go, it's done.
Awesome. That was Deshana.
Sorry, yeah, it was kind of, thank you.
And I guess it's my turn. This is Elena Sparrow. I'm having a difficult time with my camera, so luckily I have a picture to put on there. And so I'm the lead on the Arctic and Earth Science, and I have a very wonderful, amazing team, and have Katie Spellman and Christy Buffington. And so I welcome you all, and I'm really happy and delighted that you are all able to come. Thank you. Oh, I want to acknowledge the land that we're on, sorry. I am blessed to be living and working on the Trothieta campus, which is the land that has been stewarded by the Tanana, Lower Tanana Dene people.
My name is Katie Spellman, and I am on the traditional territories of the Lower Tanana Dene peoples here in Fairbanks. I am the daughter of Chris Villano, who is a teacher here in Alaska for the past 40 years. Like some of you who I see on this call also have been fighting for educators in our union for a long time. And I am the daughter of Jim Villano. Both of them come from New Jersey, and they came in the early 1970s to work in St. Mary's on the Kuskokwim River at the confluence of the Kuskokwim. And they moved to town in Fairbanks, where they had me and my sisters, and we grew up here in Fairbanks. And I feel so blessed to actually have a job here at UAF, working with Elena Sparrow and Christy Buffington. So, and I study berries, and this weekend was such a good berry weekend. So I hope that the berries are good where you are.
And I'm Christy Buffington. I am a science education specialist, and I also live and work on the lands of the Lower Tanana Dene people. The University of Alaska Fairbanks is on the Trothyeta Hill. It's called the Trothyeta campus, and it is a sacred site where people have gathered for many generations and continue to gather to share knowledge. And we do this sharing from our own homes, but there are people all over the United States in this. So we are so excited to learn about you and learn where you're from in the Canvas discussion board and also in today's breakout. So you can't see my slides. I will reshare now. We do have some reminders for everyone. It's so important that you submit your media release forms that I emailed to you last week. We have to upload the recordings for anyone, like the people who are facing hurricanes in North Carolina or South Carolina as well. We have to upload those to Canvas, but because your names and your faces are on these, possibly on these recordings, we need your release forms so that we can share those with people who have something that comes up. And the best way to get that is to scan, print it, scan it, and email it back to one of us. However, if you don't have access to a printer, give a private chat to me in Zoom, and I will create some sort of a DocuSign and email it to you. We also have a protection of minors form. This course engages you in the Arctic and Earth Science Project, and your teachers who work with youth, but by us requiring you to do a project as part of this course with the youth that you work with, we require an out-of-school activity protection of minors waiver, and it also qualifies for their pictures that you do in school. We're modeling best practices for at-home learning, so many of the things that you're doing in this course, students can do at their own homes. So it's just really important that we have those forms in place, and we ask that you send those to me. We also need you to register for the UAF credit through the Google form that I sent you, the link. We have, I think, 10 people still who haven't registered for credit. Our grant covers your tuition, and we really need to know, hopefully by today, who we're paying for. Colleen will tell you more about Canvas.
Yes, thank you. I saw that most of you have been able to accept the Canvas invite. I think we have 10 or 11 of you who have not yet been able to accept it. I did send one last week, I tried to do it right about the same timing as when Christy was sending you your email with all the course information, so it would be all together. But it is coming from Canvas, so it's a different email address than my own. And I know it might have ended up on some people's spam, or if you lost it, can't find it again, feel free to let me know and I can resend it to you. We are working really hard to make sure that we have anything that you need on that Canvas course so that you can be able to access it, or if you have questions about anything, that we have all of the information, instructions, all of that will be in the course. I think I'm probably still missing a couple things, but so if there's something, let us know and I can add it. But we really want to be able to have that, especially for other people who, may not be able to access Zoom right now. As Christy mentioned earlier, there are several who are having to watch recordings later, and so being able to have those access. And so what we have right now, maybe I can share my screen here, Christy, so that we can show the Canvas recording. I can't show my Canvas. And so what you'll see on Canvas, like I said, I know a lot of you have already been able to access it, but for those of you who haven't or are not as familiar with Canvas, once you log in, can see these modules. And so we had these pre-course assignments that we had in here that we were liking you to be able to complete. If not before this class, I know not everybody was able to do that, but hopefully today you'll be able to complete those. And then once you at least click through these, then you'll be able to access the day 1 and other modules. So we have it broken up by day. So things that we're working on today and that we're asking you to work on today are in day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, etc. So we have all of that information there for you. And of course, if you have any questions, you can also contact us via the inbox on the left. And this is a good way to do this if you have questions about something. So, you know, you're not trying to send like an email to all of us or whatever. And so whoever is able to answer your question can do so on Canvas. Of course, you're welcome to email us, but especially if it's a Canvas specific question or activity specific question, that is also a good place to be able to reach out and ask questions. And we will be checking those questions throughout the course and afterwards as well. So all of this is in here. And if you're not sure, some of these things are informational and not necessarily assignments that you have to complete. And so if you're not sure, okay, what are the things I have to complete that one of us will be reviewing and, you know, assigning completion, you can see the assignments tab on the left, and you will be able to see a list of the items. Of course, it'll look a little bit different for you since I'm one of the instructors and as a student, but similarly, and you'll see the list of items that are an assignment that you need to complete for the course. Is there anything that I should add?
And Rachel Ventress in the chat, she would love clarification on the required e-trainings. Maybe that's Christy, can you field that one?
Absolutely. So the required e-trainings are Introduction to Globe. What that is a PowerPoint that you go through on the e-training slides. And I'll share, I'm going to log on and show you how to get to there. So let me share my screen. Great. So you should be able to see the Globe website here. And the way that you find the e-training, once you've signed in, then it'll record your e-training results. But you can still look at those 2 required e-trainings by going to Get Trained, then go to Protocol e-training, and you can see the very first one is Introduction to Globe. Now I'm showing it to you this way because you've got so many options in Globe that if you want to do other protocols besides atmosphere, say you want to explore the carbon cycle, there's a carbon cycle protocol in Globe with learning activities and ready-made lesson plans. So that's where you can find some of these e-trainings, but the Introduction to Globe is the biggie. And after you've done that, you can click on this assessment test, take the quick questions, and then I will get a record of you having completed that, and then I can upload that score into Canvas for your completion. Then you also are going to have an atmosphere training in the atmosphere modules, and that will simply be, and it looks like it's not sharing anymore, but the Introduction to Atmosphere will be the module that you do. There's another place that you can find these. Katie, could you put in the chat our link to the pre-course assignments page on our Arctic Inner Science website, please? And that link will take you right to the pre-course assignments that you need to complete.
And I'm sure there's one more clarifying question. A few people are interested in knowing the kind of the exact course schedule. You're going to get to that, right, Christy?
So I am going to get to that, absolutely. And you also should have received in the mail a packet. Thank you, Tyler, for sending out all this information. Some people might not have gotten it yet if mail was slow for any reason, but the syllabus has all this information on it. And yes, Brooke said that it was in an email as an attachment as well. So yes, that's true as well. So let's go back to, I'll share my screen again, and we'll go back to the course schedule. So Katie was just prompting me to get on with the course roadmap. So what are we going to be doing every day? So our Zoom sessions happen from 9 to noon Alaska time, but we will have an intermission during this time. We have an activity during intermission that you will do asynchronously, but then also share in Canvas or in another way that we prompt you to do. Every day we'll have some focus of learning from the past, learning from people with local knowledge, such as elders, and we'll do that today as well. And we will have some sort of an assessment. Today we have two things. We have a Google survey, and there will also be a breakout session later this morning or afternoon if you're in the lower 48. Every day you will have some asynchronous assignments to upload in Canvas. On the syllabus, you can see the schedule day by day is listed, and we list the asynchronous assignments right there. They're not meant to take a long time. I was in an energy course with REAP, and I think the asynchronous assignments took me about a half an hour to maybe an hour, sometimes a little longer if I really got into it. There's going to be a globe component every day and some energy exploration that you will use your materials that Tyler has mailed to you, because we're actually going to take these out and use them. So today's Monday. Our big idea is reflecting on the local environment and sharing an energy success story, with the inquiry emphasis being learning from elders. And what you need to do to thrive today is you will be making a personal map of change and then transforming that as your asynchronous assignment and completing your globe atmosphere training. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, these are the big ideas. We'll refresh those again tomorrow and share those with you. But I will say that tomorrow you need in your kit your energy meter and your purple calibration thermometers tomorrow. Are there any questions before we move on to learning about a local case study that we can, that is weaving together energy and climate? So we see Nicolette, yes, you've raised your hand. Go ahead and you can ask your question by unmuting yourself.
Just a question about the kits. I did not register until Friday, and I live in Boston, so there's no way that I will have that kit. So will it be possible for me to follow along with like someone who possibly does have a kit to see what's happening?
Yeah, I can answer that, Christy. Yeah, we did have a couple participants join kind of late. We got the kits out. They should be to you today for the most part. I think we have one participant who will get theirs on Tuesday. But all of the documents and forms that are within the kit are available on the Canvas. And then there is one tool that's an electricity monitor that'll come into play, I believe, tomorrow when we get into our energy audits or our at-home or classroom energy assessments. So you shouldn't need anything physical from that kit until the energy audit. And then also there's energy or climate choice activity that we'll be doing throughout the class. And that kit has a couple pieces if you choose to do the greenhouse in a bottle energy activity. But you can always, if you don't want to wait for the kit to come, you can always start on a different activity like the wind challenge or the solar cooker.
Okay, so we're going to learn about a place. Yes.
There's a couple of bugs that I just want to address that people are having a little bit of trouble seeing the visuals. So I think we could address this two ways. We had some ideas posted in the chat of troubleshooting. And Nicolette, do you want to unmute and share your troubleshooting ideas with us? One first step, if you can't see what Christy is sharing, step one, log out and log back in and see if that helps. Step two, Nicolette thinks that there might be a setting on your Zoom that you can adjust. Nicolette?
Sure. So if right now all you see is a little box that says Nicolette VP speaking, you have the minimized view. And so what you want to do is actually hover over the right corner of that box. And there's like a little arrow with a green arrow over a box that says exit minimal video. When you click that, it should pop up to see everyone. So that could be one. You also may have multiple desktops on your computer, speaking about if this is a Mac, in which case you just want to see, because potentially your Zoom is in full screen on another desktop, and you'd want to go to one of your function keys. I think it's F3, and then you can see the different desktops to see if potentially your Zoom window is in another one. And then you may have also pinned one video by accident and only see that person. So if you hover over like the square where you see one person and maybe they're not talking, a blue square with 3 white dots pops up, and you can select pin video or unpin video. And then you'd be able to potentially see more people.
So for all of us that are teaching online this semester, we need Nicolette on a hotline, and she can so when your 5th graders get stuck, call Nicolette. And Christy, another way that we can help is by imagining that our students are blind, and we can richly describe what we're seeing. So, all right, back to you, Christy. Thank you.
Nicolette. Yeah, Nicolette, thank you so much. Straight from Boston, we are getting trained on Zoom. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. All right, so we are now going to be learning about an energy success story. We're going to be traveling very shortly here to Kongiganak, Alaska. And we have someone in this class who works with Alaska Center for Energy and Power, or ACEP, which is fantastic. We'll please, when we do your Canvas introduction, please share more about where you work. And this video was taken by Amanda Bird, who works at ACEP. But the real stars of the show is the community of Kong. So they abbreviate the Kong tribe for short. And let's watch the first few minutes of this video.
We have 595 kW windmatics, and they have more than enough power to power the whole village. So what do we do with the excess energy is heat the residential homes with electric thermal stoves, and they have enough heat output to heat the whole house during a cold, windy day. During the winter, we charge the residential customers about 10 cents a kilowatt, which is equivalent to purchasing heating fuel at $3 a gallon. And here at the fuel distributor out here, which is the corporation, charges about almost $5 a gallon for heating fuel. So we encourage the customers to use the electric stoves so they could save money on heating their home.
I got thermal stove, and I got a toilet stove way back there. Probably cut my fuel expenses in half.
So do you have a thermal stove in your house?
Not yet. They said that they received some, and they're going to be installing it here pretty soon.
Are you excited?
Yeah, very excited. It's going to save a lot of money for stove oil.
What do you know about them?
That they help keep the house heated during the winter, and saves more stove oil, because that a lot of times these old houses have leaks, heat leaks, and it just basically saves more fuel and money.
Do you know how much you spend a month heating?
Heating, maybe about 2 weeks. It only lasts the full 30 gallons, so maybe about 300 and close to under 400 a month.
So you're going to save a lot of money.
A lot of money, yeah.
Good.
Awesome. So that is a very brief video of Kongiganak. And I want you to jot down on a piece of paper some of the themes that you heard in that video related to energy.
Perhaps we can have them share something in the chat.
That would be awesome. And I have to go back. I'm managing sharing different screens, stopping and starting. So while you're sharing in the chat, I'll get back to this.
And it gets cut in half, leaving fuel that you could. Oh, yeah.
Colleen, what are some themes that are popping up?
Yeah, I mean, I think money, affordability, heat, you know, that excess wind to heat is great. Yeah, say energy savings. Yep, that's a big one, saving oil, but money are the biggest themes that people are noticing, which is great.
So we just learned a little bit from some local community members in Kongiganak and from an elder there in Kongiganak. Now we're going to also learn about climate change in Kong. So in this course, we are engaging in a model of learning that is called the Arctic and Earth Science Inquiry Model. And I'm going to turn it over to Elena Sparrow. Thumbs up, Colleen, if you can see my screen right now and see the Arctic and Earth Science Model. Great, thank you. So Elena, if you could share how this works.
So it was important for us not only to combine the Western science, but also local knowledge in making STEM learning relevant and meaningful for educators and students and also community members. So in our regular Arctic and Earth Science workshop and course, we even have community members be part of the discussion and be part of the course and the learning, because we learn from them as they learn from us. And so in this learning model, we start from the elders or from the local knowledge and learning about what the impacts of climate change are in the community and discovering what the adults know and what youth may know and may be interested in pursuing. And so identifying the key climate change issues for the community so that the youth and also community members are empowered not only to learn, but to do something, a stewardship project in the community that is relevant to them. So to be able to contribute something to the community. And so youth can explore and using some globe measurements, observations. They can do learning about globe measurements and observations. Then they can probably inquire and do some observations and then make sense of the research by analyzing data. And the beauty of this inquiry model is actually you don't have to go through the whole thing step by step. You can start anywhere and you can go to other portions of the learning cycle model. But it is important. It's part of the, some of you educators, or probably most of you, are aware of the e-learning model where you explore, you experiment, and you evaluate, and all that. But within this, you can go from any portion of the learning cycle model and still be successful. But the thing is to try and braid the knowledge systems to build upon what the youth are that we are trying to reach in this Alaska rural and native communities, as well as from outside of Alaska.
Thanks so much, Elena. So yes, we do, we can start anywhere. When I was a science teacher and I taught 6th grade through 11th grade, math and science, I often started down here in the box between explain and apply. I used to have my students make sense of data and analyze data and review information. I've had guest speakers and local experts, and that was usually where I started. But since being part of Arctic and Earth Science, I don't start with what's existing, the history of the data. I start with the history of the place and the people by learning from elders. So that's our next part. We are going to be learning from Edward David. Here on the left of your slide is an elder who imparted knowledge at our workshop last summer. And he shared this knowledge as well with Cassius Brown, who is an assistant principal and a teacher. And Cassius is an amazing person. He's translated his entire science curriculum into his language, which is Yupik. And Joseph Mute, who is the tribal administrator. So this is what the native village of Kongiganak looks like here. On the right, you can see that it's surrounded by water bodies. You can see that there's a river and many lakes. And I want you to listen to what the elders and what Joseph Mute, tribal administrator, and Cassius Brown have been sharing about changes they've observed. Now I'm going to have to make sure that my settings are set to share computer sound. So I'm gonna make sure that that is happening. So you should be able to hear there, but you will have to really listen because the recording is sort of poor and the visual quality. First off, I wanted to ask about some of the changes that elders have observed in Kong.
Well, what's happening right now, you can see it, throughout the world. Unfortunately, even in part of the U.S., that the people will, the weather will change along with the people. The environment will change along with the people. And that is what's happening. We can see it in the news with all these negative movements. And what they say there, we see. First off, and then the climate change, we see, getting warmer. In one instance, this may have happened like 100 years ago. It did not freeze over. It didn't get cold. It was just warm and blow. It didn't get, the water didn't freeze, so they didn't get ice. And they say that the same thing will happen again. But we haven't gotten to that point yet, but it's very subtle. And we're heading in that direction where it's warmer winters. And less ice, less ice build up along the coast. We see less and less of that ice. It used to go way out there. Now we can see the water from the village. So that's what's happening now. As the climate gets warmer, the permafrost dying out more. We called it melting, but now we know that it's dying. So that's what's happening. And even in the village, what we call eminent domain threat. Because some of these few spots are so close to homes and infrastructure.
And I'd like to start off by saying that what elders used to tell us when we were young, and in my language they said, it's just what Joel talked about just now. The weather will change along with its people. And that's exactly what's happening right now. And when you think about it, our snow is thawing more rapidly and sooner. And that has drastic effect on the plants and berries that we gather. When berries grow prematurely, they're exposed to the element. And when there's a cold spike, that's when the premature plants will die off. And as a result, there's not much berries during those seasons, as it just happened this year. We've had cold spells throughout. And so berries close by are not abundant as usual. Also, the ice is starting to recede more rapidly and more early, and that affects our seal hunting because seal depend on ice to raise up their young, and the faster the ice thaws, the less chances that we have for seal hunting for our hunters out there. Our lakes are starting to dry up because, like Joe said, the permafrost is starting to melt. We cannot disrupt any of our topsoil because once that happens, it affects the permafrost, and if it melts, our lakes dry up. And once those lakes dry up, our hills start to sink because most of our hills out here are silt. So that's what's happening in our region right now, if we look at it more closely.
And we can see that in the next village, when the lakes dry out, the ground around the sinks. With what the elders are saying, the lakes, they're used as pressure. They hold that pressure and hold the ground lifted up. That's what they say. It's like the water presses down and keeps the ground from sinking. And then when that pressure is gone, the ground around the lake sinks down. And that is what we're seeing,
Awesome, thank you. So go ahead and put some of the key thoughts that you got from that. One of the ones that stands out for me is that the environment changes and the people change. So now we actually have time for, we've got two more things that we're going to do. There is a pre-survey, and then Katie Spellman is going to share what we're going to be doing during our intermission. So let me reshare again. All right, time for a pre-survey and also time for our intermission activity. So if someone could type in the chat who's one of the instructors, I made a bit.ly for the pre-survey. It is a Google form. And it's some questions that we are gathering from you on your comfort with teaching climate change and also energy concepts. So it's bit.ly and then P-R-E-UAF.
Nicolette, do you have a question?
Is Nicolette?
Christy, it looks like you have it set up with restricted permissions. I think you just shared it with me, so I'll see if I can fix that issue.
Okay, thank you for fixing that. And then while we're getting that ready and we stop the permission issues, Katie Spellman, take us away, Dr. Spellman, for our next activity. And I will go ahead and stop sharing this screen so that Katie can explain it. But again, this is on our website, and it is an activity that has a full lesson plan with it that you can share with your students as well. And it's called Mapping Personal Observations of Change.
All right. So welcome. For those of you who have taken a course from us before or been roped into one of our projects, whether it's Fresh Eyes on Ice or Winterberry or Arctic and Earth Science, you've done a version of this activity before. And we love this activity because the outcomes are really rich. It serves, number one, as a chance for us. We're gonna share these in small groups, so we'll get to interact with each other a little bit more and learn who else is in this class. Also, it follows constructivist learning principles, where you're starting from the knowledge base of your students before you dive into the deeper learning, and we're building our knowledge based on what we have already learned and experienced. So the link that I shared, if you are a learner that likes to read instructions, you can use that link. But the basic idea is that we're going to be drawing a map of a place that you know really well. So Beverly did this. Beverly's in Bethel. You can scroll through your pictures and see her face. She did this, and she drew a picture of the rivers near Bethel and the changes that she has witnessed in her community due to climate. So you're gonna illustrate a map. And we use maps because they are a powerful way to share stories, especially stories that have data or geospatial data or some kind of data attached to them. So draw a map, and then on your maps, you're gonna draw so if I had my whiteboard here, I'd be drawing, and you can actually see a flipped classroom video of me drawing my backyard. I would be drawing my linked at the bottom of that link. So if you want a demo of an example, I'd be drawing my house, and the rains. Oh my gosh, the rains this year in interior Alaska are nuts. Joy, you mentioned that it's been really, really wet in your area too, in Shagaluk. So the rains have been worse and worse since I grew up here in Fairbanks in the end of the summer and in the fall. And my old house started sinking in. And so when we bought the house, you could put a can of soup on the floor and it didn't roll. And then and now you put a can of soup on the floor and it rolls all the way to the side of the house. So the more rain, the less stable our permafrost under our house has been. It's just been melting away. And so I would illustrate that in my picture, and I would illustrate all the changes that we've made as people around. And we'd also like you to include some illustration of energy use. We're gonna adapt this exercise, not only the changes that you've observed, but do you have a wood stove? Do you have a Toyo heater like the one that that they were talking about in the Kongiganak video? Do you have a waste heat stove like they had in their video? What do you have that provides energy, electric or heat energy to your house? Add that into your drawing of your place. All right, that's the mission. Are there any questions? You can unmute yourself and ask for clarifying questions right now because it'll benefit the whole group.
So is it specifically your house?
Actually, Linda, you can choose if you want to do your community, or you could do your house. I chose my house because I can draw a map of it really well. But if you would like to do your whole community, when Beverly drew her map of changes in her community, she drew the river, the Kuskokwim River, and where her Bethel is on the river. So you can choose whatever, either scale.
Joanne is showing her drawing right now, which is lovely. I love the color on the black.
Super. Okay. So pick map of a place you know well, either your yard, your community, could be your schoolyard, and the changes that you've witnessed that you think are connected to climate. And then somewhere in there, draw energy. If you're drawing at a community scale, for Fairbanks, I'd be drawing in that coal-fired power plant. And if I were in Kongiganak, I'd be drawing in those wind turbines. How many minutes, Christy, do we have for our asynchronous break?
So what we're going to do, we're actually right on time from 8 to 9 or 9 to 10. So we're joining again at 10:30. You have two things to do in this time. You have this assignment, this activity, mapping personal observations of change. And the second thing to do is the Google form. And so we're having half an hour, and I wanted to share, somebody said they couldn't access Dr. Katie Spellman's video, so I shared the YouTube link where she explains the same thing, but you could use that to explain the activity for your students. So it's in the link, and it's also in Canvas.
It's also in Canvas.
All right, so we'll see you, everyone, in a half an hour. The instructors are gonna stay on, so you can get off and come back on if you choose. You can stay on, whatever. We'll be here for the next half an hour if you do have a question. And we'll see you at 10:30 a.m.